watch this. I'm Pastor Susan at Messiah Lutheran Church, and on the Wednesdays, the pastors of this congregation have been talking about what are called the O antiphons. There are a variety of names of Jesus from the Old Testament. Today I'm doing the fourth one, O Key of David. Let me read to you the prayer or the antiphon verse that goes with it. O Key of David, you open and no one closes. You close and no one opens. Come and deliver those who sit in despair and the shadow of death. I was thinking about keys, and then I read this and I had to kind of rethink it, but then I circled back around. The name is used to indicate the authority in particular of David, who was a king in the Old Testament. But it's a name given to Jesus because Jesus has the ultimate authority by the grace of God, and that authority that Jesus had is meant to be used on our behalf. The key that opens what has been closed and closes what has not been opened. So what are the keys that open you up? That's what I was thinking, that like the verse, that it's for those who sit in despair and in the shadow of death. And I thought of Karen. She was a woman I met earlier this spring. Her mother had died, and like weddings and funerals, sometimes there's this emotional undercurrent. You may have experienced it, and people might be fussing about Uncle so-and-so behaving badly, or what could go wrong at the wedding, or the wedding reception, or the funeral. And Karen, like many of us, had her own person that she was afraid would disrupt things. She talked to me several times about it, and the day of the funeral I had some anxiety for Karen, how she would handle if this person decided to be a little crazy or inappropriate. I felt protective of her because over the course of planning for the funeral, I had grown to care for her. She was a really kind of a simple, clear-headed person, and so I was keeping an eye on her the day of the funeral, and she was so kind, so careful with this other person, so willing to be appreciative of how the other person spoke about her mother. And the word that comes to mind for Karen's kindness is she was resolutely kind. And I say that because it's not always easy to be kind, is it? That key that can open the door to reconciliation or forgiveness or perhaps a renewed sense of friendship or family even. Kindness isn't always easy, and yet we see in Jesus this resolute authority to be kind in his world, to be alongside those who are marginalized, those who don't have a say, those who are weak or hungry or poor or lonely or frightened. What an enormous way to understand our own authority in the world, this key that you and I have been given through the model of Jesus, the key to be kindly and resolute about it. Well, a couple of days after the funeral, I sent Karen an email and I said to her, "You were great. You were so lovely. You were such an example to me." Her response to my congratulations and appreciation really caught me off guard. She said, "Really? Huh, I just tried." And I I realized that this resoluteness had woven itself into her very being, that her way of being in the world, her default was kindness, opening the way, walking into the despair and the sorrow of another who was grieving with a sense of generosity. So, what is the key, and how might you use it this season? Who is it that you know would love you to sit down and spend some time with them, even if there's nothing much to say? The other day, I picked up my grandson at school. He's 10, Noah. And I figured as a fourth grader, he'd be very uninterested in being seen with me. So I kind of packed my personality and kind of snuggled it tight so I wouldn't overreact and embarrass him in front of friends. But he surprised me. He came right up next to me and just leaned in. It was a kindness that caught me off guard, brought me to tears. Who do you know that you long to use that key to open that space, that time, that open that moment that models Jesus, that models your best self? And I'm guessing it also models what you long for, because like me, all of us want someone in particular to offer us a key to kindness, to reconciliation. Sometimes there is a quiet tenderness that's offered. Very simple. Come sit with me. Would you like to go for a walk? It's so good to hear your voice. Use the key. Key of David, key of Jesus, key of Susan. Use your key. Today, tomorrow. That prepares us inevitably, absolutely, persistently, for the birth of a child who comes bearing kindness to open what is closed. Have a lovely day and